So the villagers stood by their gates. They had all their tools. And right at 6 o'clock, they would dig, and a bunch of them were working. Dig. And they dug that pit and they made sure it was deep. Hello, my good people, and welcome back to Onyi's World. My name is Onyinye. If this is your first time here, you are most welcome. Now, if I ask the question, who knows this song? Oh, everybody's gonna be like, okay, it's in the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. But do you know the backstory behind that song? Well, today we are going to tell you that story. Not we, really me, but either way you will get to understand why the lion sleeps tonight. And if you are ready, go ahead and grab your drink, get comfortable, sit in a nice fluffy chair, or sit on the floor because that's how we used to tell stories back when I was young. And let's jump right into today's video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn your notification bell because that is the only way you're gonna know every time I upload a video. That rolled out different, but you still get the gist. A long time ago in the village of Ndinekperechi, I'm going to put the meaning of that right there somewhere. There was a lion that bothered a group of villagers. Every day, these villagers tried to go about their business like they typically do. And I'm talking farming, fishing, going to school for those who could afford education. But some way, somehow, they would always run into this lion. Now, running into the lion was not the problem. It was what the lion did after they ran into him that was the problem. So a lot of people would go out by themselves, and on their way home, they would just go missing. A particular instance was when this old couple, the oldest people in the village, he went out with his wife and they went to their farm to harvest some cassava. If you don't know what cassava is, Google it. It's not yams. Anyhow, they start returning back from harvesting cassava, and lo and behold, on their way home, here comes the lion. And the lion roared, and the old man was petrified, so he quickly began to run. Well, the problem with it is the lion has a trigger, right? And the person who runs first is the person who gets it. So this lion begins to chase behind this old man. And because he's an old man, he falls. He falls and the lion makes quick work of him. So by this time, the villagers have heard all the ruckus and they come close and they see his wife crying over his body. And she just cannot believe that he lived such a long life and such an unworthy demise came to him. So they went home. The villagers began to grow in their fear and in their dismay. Parents began to tell their children, don't you ever be caught by yourself out. Make sure you travel during the day. Make sure you are not ever isolated. You know, the things that people try to caution their little ones about. But the lion learned that people did not want to come out at night anymore, and he couldn't hide with the cloak of darkness. So he started coming out during the day also. And as fate would have it, the prince of the village decided that he was going to go on a hunt. His courtiers got him ready, dressed, and he was just so pretty. He was so pretty. He was so pretty like a peacock. So you couldn't miss him. Well, guess who the lion saw? And the lion thought to himself, I've always wanted to know what a prince tasted like. So he begins to chase the prince. And the prince, at first he tried to stand his ground. But y'all, it's a lion. Guess who took off? Mr. Princey, he took off. Went to running, and the lion, of course, he's the lion. Human lion running. Catches the prince and also makes quick work of him. So the king comes out as his only son. He is wailing. The queen is wailing. The villagers are wailing. Everybody is now up in stitches because the people of Ndinekperechi cannot find peace because of this lion. Day in and day out, the lion got bolder because he began to realize that his antics were really intimidating the people. All of a sudden, nobody went farming anymore. Everybody stayed home. People built tall fences and put spikes on them so that they could stay protected within their borders. Nobody wanted to visit anybody anymore. Silence fell on a village that once was full of life and just bustling and hustling. And the people began to think about the old days, and they began to get offended. No matter how angry they got, they would still sit and pause and say, if we go out there, what becomes of us? In our frustration and in our boredom, if we go out there, this lion will end our life. And the lion so disrespectfully would walk out, you know, the Goliath effect. He would walk out, who will come and fight me today? You cowardly Ndinekperechi people. Who will be bold enough to stand before me, the lion? And one day, the people of Ndinekperechi finally had it. So one lady, it had to be a lady, called a conference with the other women. How did they do it? Y'all, they wrote on some banana leaves and they threw it into one another's yard because ain't nobody opening the gate. The lion is still out there. And they began to read the information and so this is, so we got to do something about this, but what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Auntie, thank you for the bright idea. We have to do something. We kind of knew that. What are we going to do? So this lady sat down with her husband and she said, when we are walking during the night, the lion catches us and hurts us. When we are walking during the day, the lion catches us and hurts us. But if we think critically, we will bring to mind that this lion moves strategically. He only catches up on those who are either few in number or alone. So the man and his wife came up with a bright idea. We are going to go out in droves and we're going to chase this lion. Great concept, fantastic thought. So one day they all got up brave and, everybody decided at what time, make sure it's set to Eastern Standard Time. We're going to go out and we're going to attack this lion. So they grabbed their rakes, their shovels, their everything. What they didn't know is that the lion was carefully listening in on their conversations. And as they decided the time and the place, he calmly went back into his lair and hid and was watching them. Well, they didn't know where his lair was. So when they all came out, they just knew he was going to be standing out there and, that's more gorilla than lion, but you catch the idea. They came out to absolute emptiness. No lion. And they're like, who told the lion we were coming? Everybody started fighting. And when he saw them disunited, guess what Mr. Lion did? He came out of his lair and he caught one. And once the villagers saw that one was caught, guess what everybody else did? Back into their little privacies. Enough is enough is enough. Is enough. So once more they took counsel and they said, maybe it's because the lion heard us. Well, then they thought to themselves, if he could hear us, how then will we communicate without him hearing us? And that is when the people of Ndinekperechi thought to themselves, we will use the written language. We will not speak a word of what we plan to accomplish. We will just act on it. So they began to draw up a plan. I skipped a little section. I have to tell y'all something. Rewind. When the old man was being chased with his wife, before the lion caught him, there was a little trench. And this trench was not deep, it wasn't wide, it wasn't big, but it was enough to cause the lion to stop and rethink his strategy. And what the lion did not know is that his wife, although she was afraid, she noted that. So when the villagers were trying to think of a very genius plan on how to catch this lion, she told them, well, the night that the lion killed my husband, there was a little trench and he couldn't get over it. And that's when the villagers thought to themselves, bulb lights everywhere. You know, everybody, if you ever watched the movie Touched by an Angel, I have to show y'all. Every so often, when she caught the concept, something happened. You know, they turned on the bulb, the little light above her, like we couldn't tell it was a flashlight. They all found their flashlight moment. And they said, we are going to dig a pit. We are going to dig a pit so big that it catches the lion. And the old lady, being a woman of wisdom, said to them, well, he is a lion and he knows it's a pit, so we have to deceive him. And they said, you know, Grandma, you have some good sense about you. So they decided that not only will they dig a pit, they will cover it to make it look as though there was no pit there. And they made sure that they did not speak the plans, they wrote the plans. And the lion, sitting on his high peak, noticed that things were happening down below that he couldn't understand. Because see, he could see into their houses, but he'd have to get close enough to be able to jump that high, but couldn't do it. So he looked at him, he's like, oh, foolish villagers, making some more useless plans. It's not going to work against me. Do you know who I am? So these villagers, they too built a lookout point. And they began to watch the lion. And they began to note his sleep-wake habits, because they needed to understand why it is that he could attack at certain times and be away at certain times. And they noticed that the lion was asleep between 6 and 8 a.m. in the morning and woke up just in time to bother the villagers who he knew would come out of their houses around 8 o'clock and work till 10 p.m. at night. Well, the villagers decided that since he slept from 6 to 8, I don't know why the lion only needed 2 hours of sleep, that they would begin to execute their plans during his sleep time. So what they would do is they'd watch him around like 5:50. Mr. Lion would yawn really big. Whoa. And he would lay down, and right at 6 o'clock, like clockwork, like somebody hit him, he would just fall over and sleep. So the villagers stood by their gates. They had all their tools. And right at 6 o'clock, they would dig, and a bunch of them were working. Dig. And they dug that pit, and they made sure it was deep. And it took them about a week to do it. And at this point, the lion was getting frustrated. Why are they not coming out? They need water. I know they need water. They need food. I know they need food. They're not going to school. Their farms are left untended. They need to come out. And the villagers worked diligently under the cover of his sleep, early dawn, and strategic planning. And one day, their pit was finally perfected. And they decided that there was no better time than to test their plan. So they all got out and they stood in front of the pit and they began to heckle the lion together. And they pitched a fit, and the lion was just looking at them. He's like, looks like they are up to something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm going to let them start arguing with themselves. What the lion didn't know is that this was part of the plan. The villagers said that they would try to act like they were unified at first. And then as the days rolled by and the lion was not coming out. Whew, the storyteller can't talk. The days rolled by. They will begin to argue with themselves like they did the last time. And that will cause the lion to think that there was no unity amongst them and he will attack. Day 1, unified force. Day 2, unified force, not as loud. Day 3, some people didn't show up. dangerous thing. Day 4, they finally decided that they had it, and they started to fight. They made sure, though, that lion's lair, hole in the ground, villagers. They were arguing. Remember, the hole is covered, and they made it look nice and pretty. And the lion said, "This is my opportunity. I will come out and deal with them as I have dealt with them before." The people of Ndinekperechi had made this plan foolproof. And here comes Mr. Lion. And the people of the village, they turned and began to run so that he wouldn't think. Because if they just stood there, the lion would be like, these people, they want to catch me with sense. So no, they had to run. And they start running, and the lion is laughing in his proud heart. He's like, they think they can outrun me. I am the lion. Once again, that's gorilla. The king of the jungle. Who would dare? Before Mr. Lion knew it, the villagers had given him some good way, and then he was he landed right into their pit. And the villagers surrounded that pit with their bows and their arrow, and they dipped it in some, some kill the lion juice. And they and Mr. Lion was full of nice pricklies. And before you know it, Mr. Lion, whose eyes was full of pride and just, invincibility, his eyes started to do one kind. And the king fell asleep. And when the villagers saw that their terrorist, this evil that will not give them peace, had finally fallen, they grabbed the tambourines and they grabbed all the musical things. Y'all, today I grabbed toys. And they began. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Hey. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Rest, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Rest, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Now, I can sit here and tell you all a million lessons that are embedded in that story, but this is where I want to hear from y'all. Please communicate with me in the comment box. What did you learn? And will you share this story? Make sure you hit the subscribe button. It was fun telling y'all the story, and if you didn't know it, this story is as fresh as me telling it to y'all because every bit of it is made up. But I hope you enjoyed it. It was nice spending a few minutes with you all tonight. Join me as we build this community of laughers, of fun lovers, and people who just understand, how to take the stresses of life off. Until the next time, be blessed.